Hi, and welcome to DMEA's Energy Efficiency Self-Audit video. I'm your host, Ryan Henn. Over the next hour, several DMEA Energy Services staffers will join us to discuss low-cost and, in many cases, no-cost ways that you can make your home as energy efficient as possible. Now, why would we do this? Well, as a member of an electric cooperative, you receive power from a nonprofit organization in which you are our member owners. Now, here at DMEA, our mission is to energize and serve our communities, and one of the ways we do that is by looking out for your bottom line. Unlike a traditional utility, we're not interested in simply selling you the most electricity possible. Instead, we want to continue to provide the safe, reliable, and affordable power your family has come to depend on us for. Now, a word of caution as we get started. Every home is different, and so some of the things you see today may not look exactly the same as they do in your home, and that's okay. Feel free to call any of our energy services representatives at the number listed below. They'd be happy to chat with you and answer any of your questions or concerns. All right, well with that, I think we're ready to get started. All right, well let's get our energy audit started. We're actually in a member's garage today, and Nikki Smalls from DMEA is joining me. Nikki, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine.
What is the first thing a homeowner needs to look for as they start their energy audit?
Well, one of the most important things that you can do is go up into the attic and make sure that all of your holes and gaps that you might have, if you can find them, are all sealed. Second thing that you need to do is then address insulation levels.
So let's take these one at a time. So you want to be up there looking for plumbing penetrations or electrical penetrations, things like that?
Right. That would also include knee walls. It would include chimney chases or wall chases or recessed cans that aren't IC rated.
Okay, so any of those. And what do we recommend? I know you've got a product here to seal them up.
If your holes, certainly if your holes are not too large, you can use the expanding foam to take care of those problems. If you have something like a chimney chase that you have to address, then you would need to get aluminum flashing, and you'd have to buy a high temperature silicone caulk. So there are different applications for different things that you might have going on up in your attic.
So, and people can call us if they have questions on how to
Absolutely.
address some of those things too.
Right.
All right, so now that we've, in theory, we've fixed all those air leaks, or the ones that we can find up there, what's next?
Well, the next thing you need to do is you need to go in and check for your insulations. You need to find out how much you have and what type you have.
And we've got some common insulation here. How do I measure my insulation?
Well, typically, if you have a joist up in the attic and you have fiberglass batt, that's going to be a 12-inch cavity typically, and you're going to have at an R 3.2 per inch, you're going to have probably your R38 minimum insulation in that cavity. The thing that you need to look out for is to make sure that your joists are covered with insulation, because that's a heat sink, and through thermal bridging you can lose heat. So you want to make sure that you have
something
enough
over that. Now, what is the R value exactly?
Well, R value is simply a measurement of resistance to heat flow.
Okay.
So the higher the number in your R value, the more impact you're going to get from your insulative qualities.
Interesting. And then another factor to look for is really air infiltration through these different materials, right?
Right. Take this fiberglass batt, for instance. It loses its R value if it's compressed, as this is compressed. You want to make sure that you're fluffy and you haven't compressed it, and then you want to make sure you can come back with pouring more insulation over it to bring it up to the R38 through using cellulose, which is an air barrier. Or you can use fiberglass batt, but you'd need to take the facing off of the batt and then install it perpendicular so that it covers the joist.
So it covers up those joists. Interesting. Okay, so fiberglass most people are familiar with. This has been around for, seems like forever now.
Right, right. That was the product choice about 20 years ago.
We've got some here. This was kind of the blow-in fiberglass. It's
kind
of more of that pink color that people may be familiar with in their homes. What's this stuff here? So this is cellulose.
That's cellulose. That's a very good product. It's ground up newspaper.
Really?
It's 80% recyclable. It has all those qualities of being fireproof, bug-proof, soundproof, and it's got a air barrier.
Interesting. And you can see, I don't know if you can see around the front, but there's a real difference between how much this fills the gaps and like the fiberglass. It looks like there's some voids there.
That's right.
So that's a real advantage of this type of product. Now what about here? You've got some foam insulation.
Right. Foam insulation is typically used in new constructions. However, you can do retrofits with foam, but it's got an excellent R-value property of an R5 to an R7.
Oh, wow.
But typically, you need to call a professional to install your
Okay.
foam insulation.
And this final insulation material, I've not seen this before. What is this?
That is fairly new. This is a denim insulation, and actually it's from Blue Jeans, if you will. It's fire retardant. It has an R value of 3.7, and it has a pretty solid air barrier.
And this is really a green product.
Very green.
Interesting. So how do you measure these products? How much insulation do I need? I mean, you've thrown around R values. What do we recommend?
Well, we recommend for Colorado, taking into effect our location here and altitude and heating degree days, that you need an R38 to an R49
Okay.
for your attic, and you need an R19 for the wall, minimum.
Which can be sometimes harder to get to, especially
Right.
in a retrofit.
Right. And then R19 in the crawl space, and probably a minimum of an R11 in the basement.
Okay.
And the way that you can tell whether or not you have enough cellulose in the attic is take a yardstick up and at various places, level places, measure and see how many inches you have. As in this case, it comes up to be an R24.
Okay.
So you would need to add insulation and make sure that you have insulation piled above your
Above those.
joist.
Oh, interesting. Now, what about safety? I know a lot of people are hesitant to do some of this themselves.
Well, if you're doing a do-it-yourself project, you need to make sure that you wear long sleeves, eyeglasses. You need to wear a ventilator mask that's double strapping, one typically like this.
Okay.
And you need to make sure that you've mapped out where you're going to be walking up in the attic so that you don't fall through.
Fall through. That's actually more common, I think, than people
Right.
realize. Oh, that's excellent. Well, Nikki, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.